Today's topic, why you should not own a pet. Now, before we begin, you guys can put your pickaxes down, your shovels, your pitchforks. Hold on a second. Big disclaimer here. I want to make it very clear that I am not against owning pets. I am simply stating why I myself prefer not to have pets. And perhaps you might consider doing the same after watching this show. Who knows? Now, the reason why I say this is not love for the cover of this show is because you may love the act of caring for a pet, but you can never actually love a pet. And I will explain. Understand that I am not here to convince you of anything or tell you how to live your life. I stand for every person's personal freedom to do as they wish, even in controversial topics, such as supporting OnlyFans or pornography. To each their own. That's called freedom. It's your life, so live free. With that being said, all I want to do here is ask you to consider or reconsider depending on your life scenario. The desire to own a pet or your choice for continuing to own a pet. That's not me trying to convince you. It's me simply asking you to give this topic some thought. It's even in my book, by the way. And I'm doing a sort of slightly similar take on this. A little bit in a different or supporting perspective, rather. If by the end of this show, you still decide to get a pet or keep the pet you already own, that's perfectly fine. And I definitely understand why you would do so. Pets are very cute animals, and they are lots of fun to interact with. However, that's not what this show is all about. So we have plenty to go over. Let's go ahead and dive right into it, shall we? Okay? So put on a smile on your face. This is nothing negative. Reason number 1 for why I don't advise owning pets. They are expensive creatures to own. The money you spend on pets could easily go to paying for other necessities such as groceries, gasoline, rent, or paying for a home that you may or may not own. And also to your own children if you have children. The economy will always be bad based on how it's been for the last couple of decades, I'd say. Why waste unnecessary money on a pet when that money could be saved for a rainy day or used for other crucial necessities? But even if the economy was great, it still wouldn't matter. Owning a pet takes lots of time, responsibility, and effort out of your daily routine, which includes weekends and holidays. It's nonstop. Owning a pet is a 24/7 responsibility, in fact. Then there are veterinarian fees and other requirements to consider as well, which again can get very expensive with time. The statistics shown here, for example, are very accurate when it comes to the ultimate decision of owning a pet or choosing not to. Once again, to each their own. However, I want to now go over something that many people tend to simply not pay enough attention to, which is important. But before I do that, let's go ahead and take a look at this chart here. Family pets, why or why not? It's pretty much split down the middle, if you ask me. So parents with pets say there's companionship, teaches responsibility. Yeah, but there's other forms of teaching responsibility, in my humble opinion. I had a pet growing up and enjoyed it. Yeah, we had a pet dog. It ran away because I think my dad forgot to tie it in the backyard, but I mean, a lot of pets ran away back in the 80s, so it was a stormy night, so he probably got scared and got lost, and there was no GPS back then or no microchips, so forget about that. And then we had pet hamsters who all died. It was really sad, so we stopped getting hamsters. Anyways, and we heard about people's dogs dying and how tragic that is, and we weren't interested in cats or dogs, so. Protection, 30%. Okay, so you have like a beware of your dog at your home and in search of protection. I get it. Parents without pets say, which is pretty much what this stream is about, the other side, right? Because it's pretty much split down the middle if you look at it. It's a hassle. Family member has allergies. Okay, that's legit. The cost of owning a pet. child won't be responsible. Not sure exactly what they mean there. Maybe as a distraction from doing their homework or whatnot, but that's debatable. So let's go ahead and move on, shall we? Just a little brief introduction. Nothing too serious. All right, let's go ahead and look at this quote right here. Animals are like people because people are animals. Well, technically mammals, I get it, but that's a scientific explanation. Honestly, again, in my humble opinion, I believe that humans are humans and animals are animals. Just because we have similarities doesn't mean we're the same. So let's go ahead and keep proceeding, shall we? Reason number 2 for why I don't advise owning pets. You may become far too attached to your pet, treating them like an actual human being. Or worse, saying that animals are better than humans, which is a negative mentality that leads to dangerous extremism. Oh yeah, they're out there. There's a lot of extremists who say, they would rather save an animal than an actual human being. I've heard it all, from A to Z. I've seen and heard of plenty of cases where in a relationship, one partner will love their pet far more than their actual partner. I am not kidding. Even the people I coach, this is what they tell me, some of them. It's rare, but it's out there. Many people even break up or divorce and end living alone with a pet. That's what they end up with, which they consider an exact substitute for a lifelong loving relationship. The fact of the matter is, animals will never be able to replace the enormous love from an actual human being who is fully dedicated to mutual happiness and lifelong fulfillment. Mere companionship from a pet will never bring a person meaning and purpose, nor happiness. So don't get it twisted. There is no substitute. Sorry. I always find that miserable, unhappy, mentally and emotionally unstable people are often the ones living all alone, at home, with a pet as a substitute for love. What they fail to realize is the fact that they are sadly living in denial and giving up on their potential future happiness, otherwise known as finding somebody to love with all of your heart and soul. So no, we are not the same. You cannot love a pet the same way you would love a human being. Okay, otherwise you don't understand what the word love means. By definition, you could force that on an animal and say, I love my animal. But if you love your pet animal more than your partner or equally, that's no. That means your love is weak. A soulmate level love is beyond caring for a pet or even brotherhood, sisterhood, parenthood, your own family members. Soulmate love goes beyond that. And that's precisely why so many relationships fail out there. They can't understand the order of operation, the prioritization of love, true love. It's beyond simply caring for each other and being companion. Oh, he's my companion. She's my companion. No. I mean, might as well just go get a friend and call it a life, right? Or go get a pet if that's all you want is companionship, so that you're not bored or you have a shoulder to cry on. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. True love is way beyond anything in this world. It's that powerful. And that's exactly why so many people fail in their relationships. So let's go ahead and proceed, shall we? Reason number 3 for why I don't advise owning a pet. Owning a pet has nothing to do with love. Caring for an animal is not the same as loving a human being, as I just said. You can claim to love your pet all you want, but in the end, you merely care for that pet. You just simply take care of the pet. All right? It's never going to be anything more than that. That's why companionship is about not feeling alone. But true love, as I was saying, is infinitely more than companionship. True love is all about giving your entire life and soul to another person. And if you don't feel that way, you're not in love. Sorry to break it down to you. I hope you feel that way. Because you can't give your heart and soul to a pet. I can tell you that much. And if you believe that you can, oh boy, you're stuck in the quicksand. That's all I got to say. And I can't save you. If that's what you believe, that you're going to give your heart and soul to a pet, oh my goodness. You can live with your partner happily ever after, which is something a pet can never do, no matter how much you care for it. It's okay to care for pets. Remember, I'm not against owning a pet, but this is different. Hence the reason why I'm doing this show. There has to be a huge distinction between caring for a pet and showing your love for your pet and loving your partner. Two different things completely. One can say it's possible to have a pet while creating and maintaining a lifelong relationship. However, one should have more than enough with their lifelong partner by their side. Owning a pet means dividing your attention, strength, effort, and commitment to taking care of an animal. When one is truly in love, there's absolutely no desire whatsoever to want to own a pet. Unless your profession is a farmer, where you must work with and take care of animals, then this would be a rare exception. Or in the case of a life-saving dog for a handicapped person, yeah, it's a great idea. There's nothing wrong against that. But once again, that's not love. These are talented animals, and these are animals used to produce milk and other sorts of things like eggs. I get it. Farm animals. But in the end, these are animals in captivity, if you will. It's not slavery, but a lot of animal rights activists would call it that, domestication. But if that's true, then we're all domesticated and slaves to the world itself, the way it's run. I'm not going to go there. I'm just saying that in the end, it's okay to care for these animals. Of course, nobody's debating that. But I'm saying that when it comes to your partner, they should always be the priority, and all that love that sadly people are giving to their pets, that should be going to their potential future soulmate, their partner by their side. It's okay to show some love to your pets, but don't lose sight of number one, who's supposed to be number one in your life, your number one priority. Because I've seen it. It's a really sad sight when the pets get far more attention than the actual partner, and they're like, yeah, well, we're just tired of each other, we're sick of each other, and then they're showing all this love to their dog or cat. I'm like, you're not serious, are you? Oh yeah, they're serious. All right, so let's go ahead and proceed, shall we? All right, let's get a little bit technical here. Reason number 4 for why I don't advise owning a pet. You don't need a pet in order to feel happy or to be happy. That's not how happiness works. Owning a pet to feel happy means that something is missing in your relationship. Because if you had it all and everything was perfect, you wouldn't want a pet. That's the truth. Pets can be dangerous to children because they're unpredictable. Even a well-trained pet can still bite or claw a baby or child for no apparent reason. It happens all the time. Domesticated pets may be well taken care of, but in the end, they are domesticated and mostly held in confinement. Also something to think about. You own a pet to take care of, but having a child is something meant to last forever. Completely different, man. For instance, you could own a dog for 10 to 13 years, becoming emotionally attached, only to eventually have your heart broken when it finally passes away. The inevitable. What would come next? Either you buy another pet, or you finally realize that maybe the enormous emotional investment isn't quite worth the inevitable suffering. That is guaranteed to happen, by the way, when owning a pet. And it's just going to all finally end. Such experiences can be dangerously traumatic. I've seen people cry their eyes out. They are literally just lamenting. They are so sad, traumatized for life. They still can't get over their pet that they lost 10, 20 years ago. It's that traumatic. So you have to think about this. You may not think about it in the moment where you buy a pet or you already have your pet. You're not thinking about it. You're just kicking the can down the road. What happens when it happens, right? How are you going to feel? How are you going to take it? Because I've seen people buy another pet and then they suffer again the same way all over again. So it's not a debate. It's asking you to consider the facts here. Because if you're emotionless and soulless, then you won't feel a thing when the pet passes away. You'll just go get another one, a replacement, just like an object with no love, right? And I say love because you should love owning a pet if that's the case. Not that you actually love the pet. You're showing love for the pet because you care for it so much. But when it comes to your partner, that's what love is all about. That's the true meaning of love itself. All right, so let's go ahead and read what we have here. This argument here, or perspective. The many harms of pet keeping. Some harms are what you might call attitudinal in buying and selling animals. I mean, it sounds like slavery, but to each their own, right? I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying it does sound a little bit messed up. And in using them for our own gratification, whether to provide amusement or emotional fulfillment. Yeah, if you really think about it, or to make a profit. Yeah, sadly, people sell baby kittens. There might be like so many of them, and the poor mother, the cat, has to say goodbye. All these kittens go to different owners. It's really sad. I'm really against that. Same thing with the puppies. They all get divided up to make a quick buck. It's really sad for profit. I mean, that's literally trafficking. Have respect for the animals, their newborns, right? You know, to each their own. That's what freedom is, people. We are treating them as objects, not subjects, as commodities, and not as living beings with inherent value. When an animal is a product, it becomes difficult for us to appreciate the experiential world of the animal from their own perspective. Yeah, put yourself in their paws, right? Or in their feathers. Whatever animal we're talking about. Some people have pet parrots, okay? We think about how our pets make us feel, not how our keeping them as pets makes them feel. You have to be empathetic, right? Other harms are more direct. A robust scientific literature leaves no doubt about the anguish pets experience. Physical confinement, social isolation, and chronic exposure to stress, the hallmarks of captivity, can lead to measurable physiological damage, including loss of neuroplasticity and a long-term activation of the fight or flight response, which can affect immune function, increase the risk of chronic disease, and shorten lifespans. The psychological anguish of captivity manifests in certain harmful behaviors called stereotypes. Or I think that's stereotypies, by the way. Very awkward word there. Like a ferret pacing back and forth in her cage, a parrot plucking out all of her feathers, or a dog air snapping or obsessively chasing his tail. We might laugh at that, but think about what the dog's going through. We see funny videos of pets all the time. Oh, look at their crazy behavior. Yeah, but much of that is because of the effects of confinement. You can feed them the best food and treat them with all the care in the world, but in the end, they're confined. They're not in the wild as they should be, in my humble opinion. Once again, I'm not against you owning pets, to each their own. But when you think about it from a pet perspective, sure, you're taking care of them. But the only reason why they care about you is because you're going to feed them and take care of them, right? I mean, that's kind of a brutal way of putting it, but they're animals. They're primal. They're not humans in the end. They don't understand human emotion. They have emotions of their own, just like any other animal. But we consider those emotions, unless you're a carnivore, and that's a whole different another topic, because there's a lot of hypocrisy there. People will care about a dog, but they'll gladly eat some chicken nuggets, with the baby chicks getting tossed into meat grinders every day, without even a care or a thought. They'll be like, oh, I love my dog. Yeah, but what about the baby chicks who made your chicken nuggets? I'm not going to go there. I'm just going to say that there's a lot to talk about in this topic, but that's not the point of this show. The main point is put yourself in the pet's perspective. But that's also not the point of this show. The point is all of this can just be avoided because it's not necessary when you're with your partner. You can have a pet if you want, but I'm simply pointing out maybe it's a good idea not to. Because in the end, we've already went over the potential consequences and the hardships. You know, it's just a lot to do. It's a heavy responsibility, a heavy burden. Now, there's a lot of people who will own a pet dog or a cat, and yet they'll protest the SeaWorld confinement of the killer whales, the orcas, because they're spinning around and around inside those limited pool areas, and they're bashing their heads up against the windows, yada, yada. But then they keep their own pet dog or cat. Does that make sense? I don't know. You tell me. I'm not here to debate anybody. I'm really not interested. So let's go ahead and proceed because I had to be very specific and tiptoe a little bit around this topic in order to get my points across, which matter most. Okay? Okay, so let's go ahead and wrap this up by saying, I get it. Owning a cute little furry pet can be a fun experience because they're so adorable, fluffy, and addicting. But the whole point of this show, once again, is to remind you that your partner is far more important than any pet that you can ever own. That's the point. It's no competition when comparing the act of caring for a pet versus giving all of your love and attention to your partner. In fact, that's precisely why I highly advise not choosing to own a pet of any kind. Even aquarium fish spending their lives swimming around in circles inside a water box. Imagine if that was your life, right? The entire purpose of this show, however, is to remind you, once again, that the only cute, cuddly, addicting, adorable thing in this life is supposed to be the person you claim to love with all of your heart and soul, by your side. In the realm of true love, there is no room to spend taking care of pets. Because if you have that amount of time, I don't think you're giving it 100% effort. Love is constant and nonstop. It's every single day, day in, day out. And it's supposed to be all pleasurable. You will and should have plenty of time to take care of your own children, however. But once they finally leave the household, you immediately notice that it's just you and your partner once again. Like back to square one. If you want your relationship to succeed on a soulmate level, 100% dedication is required. I hope you don't think that that's an extreme point of view, because it works for me and it works for many others who have found and developed true love with that potential future soulmate. Now they're finally soulmates. There's, of course, lots of room for hobbies, but taking care of a pet is not a hobby. It's an enormous responsibility, and in the end, an unnecessary heartbreaker, if you ask me. I hope this show gives you food for thought, at the very least. It's not a debate at all. It's simply sharing my own perspectives about owning a pet or pets. All right, so understand this. You're free to do whatever you want. I'm not your father. I'm not, the ultimate authority on owning a pet. That's the beauty of freedom. It's your life. It's your choice. It's your body. It's your choice. Yada, yada. All I'm saying is that, for me and my experience, I love my partner with all of my heart and soul. That's day in, day out, as I was saying just a little bit ago. I don't, pets are cute. I imagine if I had a pet bunny or a cat or dog, yeah, they're fun. They're fun. I would have a lot of fun. But I would feel like, oh my goodness, I have to really partition my time to take care of this animal. I don't have that time. And I also think about my time is best spent either with my partner or accomplishing chores or other responsibilities like housework or garden work or whatever it is. Or running errands. I already have a busy day as it is. So for pet owners out there, if you have the time, go ahead. I'm just saying that in my perspective, from my point of view, and it's a healthy conversation to have, not a debate, just simply discussing it like peaceful, civilized human beings. I put it in my book for that reason, because if you're talking about 100% commitment to your partner, you just shouldn't have the urge to want to have a pet. Like, go ahead and download some cute photos of the pets, or just buy yourself some stuffed animals. They make great substitutes because their life is not on the line. It's not in your hands, their life, right? It's just a stuffed animal. You can hug the stuffed animal, give it some smooches if you want. I mean, I'm just saying that a real animal, to take care of an animal, that's just kind of playing like taking care of a real baby or a child. It's similar, but it's not the same. So why go through the responsibility of the hassle, right? But like I said, to each their own. But that's my perspective, is why complicate things? Why add yet another extra responsibility? Maybe if you have a boring life, a boring lifestyle rather. But I don't mean that in an offensive way. I mean that you actually have more time on your hands. And maybe you do feel bored, and that's why you got a pet. Or maybe for the kids to play around with. To each their own. I'm just saying there's plenty of other ideas. Like maybe if it's for the kids, find other activities that aren't so much of a responsibility. Take them to the pool. Take them to the gym. Take them to the park. Read them stories. Have them read stories to you to practice their, their reading skills or writing skills, or have them draw something, be creative, stimulate their imagination. Having a pet is just kind of like watching television. Like, ooh, that was fun. And then they didn't really learn anything unless it was an educating, cartoon or, TV series, like a show or a movie. Something educating, but it doesn't always have to be educating. You can have fun and entertainment if that's what the time is for. I get it. I really get it. Seriously. But always think it from a productive perspective. If you have kids, if kids are involved. Now, let's go ahead and take the kids out of the picture. Let's just say it's you and your partner. If you have the urge to want a pet, oh, honey, you want a pet? I think a pet would be so cute. Yeah, I get it, but do you see what I'm saying here? Why do you have the urge to want to actually own one? I mean, it would be enough for me to just go to a zoo and see some lions and tigers and monkeys and even the rabbits or whatnot, or go to a pet store and go see some parrots and cages, which is sad to me if you ask me. All these like incarcerated animals. But I'm not here to debate. I'm just saying it's kind of messed up. I would like, what I see here in Europe are deer and hawks flying high in the sky, making beautiful sounds, birds. I like the wilderness, the freedom, the wildlife. I see wild stray cats. They're free to go. They're not owned by anybody. They're kind of cute to feed here and there sometimes. But I don't own any of these animals. There's, martyrs running around. They can climb houses in like 2 seconds. It's remarkable to watch them. There's all different types of animals. And I'm sure there's different types of animals where you live too, in your neck of the woods. Not exactly literally, but sometimes literally. But the whole point of this show is to remind you for the last time that I would highly recommend that you pay attention to numero uno, number one, and that's your partner. Because a lot of people, they spend too much time on their hobbies or fixing their car or their garden. They spend too much time in their garden when it's just, why plant all these plants if they're going to eventually die anyway? I mean, it's just like, kind of think about how you're spending your time, how you're investing your time. Some people, they're just stuck to their iPhones and iPads and computers, and they just play games over and over, and they're involved in a relationship. Yeah, but can you just think about, okay, the quality time that you spend with your partner. I hope these distractions are not replacing that potential quality time. And let's say you guys need personal space, which I also included in my book. That's fine. That's a great time to actually play games or go outside and play some sport that you like doing, shoot some hoops or whatnot, or go to the gym. That's a must. Okay, there's no excuse for that. Or work out at home. However you slice it, just be responsible on how you spend your time, because owning a pet is like one of the most ultimate distractions. And one can play the tough guy or the tough gal and say, oh, no, it's easy. You have no idea what you're talking about. Okay, I get it. I'm just saying that if you're truly in love with your partner, it really shouldn't be an urge to domesticate an animal and say, I need this, or my kids need it. There's just so many other options that are not so time consuming. But in the end, as I said in the beginning, if you truly want a pet, go ahead. And with that said, all this show is food for thought. Just to remind you that, in my humble opinion, when you love somebody 100%, you give it your all. And I mean your all. So if that sounds a little bit extreme to you, apologies. But it works for me, and hopefully it'll work for you one day, if not already working. So with that said, much love, everybody. Till the next one.